Okay, so there's a question about how you assign a VPN to a device or to a user or to a group, and that's very easy to do on the island. Little background: Island does support VPNs, an arbitrary number of VPNs. There is a total limit on the number of interfaces you can have on an island. I believe that number is 1,023, and that includes physical interfaces, VLAN interfaces, and VPNs. So the sum total of all of those cannot exceed 1,023, more than enough for a typical island deployment. But VPNs are unique on an island in that you apply access to those VPNs to specific devices. By default, when you create a VPN, it sets up the VPN, starts it running, and it's available to use. But by default, that VPN is not assigned to any devices, so nobody's using it initially. In order to make use of that VPN, what you need to do is assign it to one or more devices. So let's see how to do that. Let's go to the main menu on the island. Click here, and we're going to go down to VPNs. Now you'll see a list of VPNs that have been created, most of which are enabled. There's a few that are not enabled. You can see from the switch over here on the right. And there are several that are enabled but not operational. Um, but here, let's take this one right here, this FUMC. This VPN is active and it is operational. It is currently functioning. So let's click on that. We can see the details of this VPN. You can see that it's operational, shows IP routes that are assigned to that VPN, and so on and so forth. In order to use that VPN, though, it has to be assigned to at least one device so that that device can access the networks on the other side of that VPN. And that's what these three tiles here are for. We can either assign that VPN to a particular device. For instance, here, if I click on this, there's one device currently assigned to that VPN. If I wanted to, I could remove that. I could say RSP3 is no longer allowed to use that VPN. And once that's done, it's invisible to that device. I might also want to assign it to some particular other device. Like, for instance, if we scroll down here, don't know why my clothes dryer would need access to that VPN, but if it needed to be, I can click this, and now the clothes dryer has access to that VPN and can pass traffic over. So that can be done on a per device basis. What's often more convenient, though, is to assign the VPN not to specific devices, but to specific users and groups. And that's often much more useful than trying to assign it to individual devices. For example, if I go here, you'll notice that this VPN is assigned to the user Lee. So that means Lee can access this VPN. What that means, of course, is that any of the devices on the island that are assigned to the user Lee can access access devices over that VPN. On the other hand, no other users have that VPN assigned to them. So Anita, for example, her devices would not be able to access devices on the other end of that VPN. And the same thing for groups. You know, if you have groups, for instance, if you had groups perhaps for grandkids, or maybe you have a home where you've got all of your security cameras um, assigned to a particular group, and you there's a site, maybe the NVR or whatever is accessible over that VPN. You might want to assign all the cameras, the camera group, to that VPN so we can access data over that VPN. Works the same way as devices and users. You can add and remove devices, from that VPN. For instance, I could say everything in the group PCs could access that VPN. And that's really all there is to it. The important thing to remember, of course, about VPNs on the island is that a VPN by itself, when it's created, there's no access granted to it. You have to explicitly go in and assign that VPN to one or more devices and or users and or groups in order for those devices to be able to access traffic across that VPN.